Well, data analytics can sometimes be, well, in some people's mind, a little bit on the mundane side and sometimes difficult to get your head around. But Data Dimension certainly bucks the trend as the company partners with organisations from the Tour de France, analysing over 3 billion data points to bring the very latest updates on Le Tour. And in their new rollout, predictive analytic technologies could pinpoint things such as where the peloton will catch the breakaway riders at certain parts of the race. Well, let's bring in Peter Gray, Senior Director for Technology and Sports Practice at Dimension Data. Joins us from our Melbourne studio. Peter Gray, appreciate your time this afternoon. Look, just to start with more broadly, just how much tech goes into an event like the Tour de France from your perspective?
Oh, look, the Tour de France is quite an amazing event logistically and technology-wise. The fact that there needs to be broadcast, pushed out to the entire world with all the technology that goes around that at different locations every single day, moving from town to town, mountain tops, etc., hundreds of kilometres every day. That environment moves. It's quite an amazing environment to be part of.
And as a part of it, and from what you guys do, does the majority of the focus go towards the viewing spectacle?
Absolutely. The Tour de France is the biggest annual sporting event, and the fan base for it globally is absolutely massive. And so, creating experiences for those fans that are rich, help people understand the race, and increase the quality of the broadcast coverage is just critical to the way that the race operates.
And on that point, and I want to get to the specifics in just a moment, but just how much advancement has there been in recent years when it comes to the technology and then what you're providing the end viewer?
Yes, so the tour itself, has a 100-year history of continuing to evolve from newspapers through radio, through television, and more recently, the incorporation of high-definition television, and now the world of digital. And so, we're using IoT-based sensor devices on the bikes that then allow us to capture individual rider data and put that into the broadcast as well as the digital channels. And so that's another layer in that technology evolution that they've been on for many, many years.
And this year we saw the use of machine learning. Look, just tell us about that, what you're doing with that, and where it goes, where you hope it to lead you.
Yeah, so that was something that we began experimenting with for the first time this year. We've been involved with the Tour de France for 3 years now, and as I mentioned before, we've started to capture rich data about every single rider in the peloton, and we've then been able to use that data to train some machine learning models and to begin to do things like predict which riders are likely to perform well on given stages based on their history and their rider profile and their current form, and things like whether the breakaway is likely to be caught on a given stage. So having that rich history of information has allowed us to experiment with that this year, and we think that's something that we can then create really interesting opportunities for the fans to interact with, but also to help understand the race more effectively.
Well, on those last 2 points, I mean, in the years to come, because obviously this, as you were saying, just experimenting this year, where does it go? I mean, where do you see that technology going and what it's going to allow viewers and people to enjoy the race to actually get out of it?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that sports as an industry is working on is how do you create more engaging experiences for fans, particularly in this digital world. And so ideas like gamification and being able to compete against the machine and see how you do, compete against your mates, compete against the machine, being able to give commentators greater insight into what's happening. We've used machine learning to calculate how hard the riders might be working at given points, and so being able to see a score to see is this an easy part of the stage or is this a hard part, which you can't necessarily see straight away just looking at the TV coverage. So it's about being able to provide more understanding of what's happening during the course of the race.
And in terms of pushing out what you're finding and getting it out, how important utilising various platforms, social, online, television, how important do you think that is, and is that increasing in importance?
Well, certainly the requirement to be able to provide information and data out through multiple channels is increasing in importance. So where traditionally it might have been purely linear television broadcast, the expectation now is that you do have the ability to provide that data through second screen applications, through mobile, creating conversations through social media. And so the requirement is actually to be able to provide all of those things and allow viewers to choose the ways that they want to interact with the event and with the broadcast.
And is that the crucial part there? And when we coming up with all of these wonderful sort of different bits of information and data from various technologies, but is the end result all about the user, all about the viewer and what they're getting out of it?
Well, certainly in the context of the Tour de France, absolutely, it's about being able to provide that engaging experience. That same technology is also though being used by the teams, and to allow them to better understand the race, better understand their riders' performances, and better manage the tactics within the race itself as well. So I think there's a whole range of different ways that this kind of information and this kind of data can be used.
Well, Peter Gray, just fascinating stuff and very, very exciting sort of area to be in. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, Crown Group rolls out Australia's first online hotel room check-in. Details next.